welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 4, Episode 17.
Or Episode 87 if you're counting.
Let us know if you guys are having any sort of streaming issues, whether that be audio related or, in fact, we might have some audio problems. I'm not really sure. Can't check my general settings. In fact, let me check real quick. Oh, we actually have audio. Good.
Yeah, we're good.
I was scared for a second because I didn't double check my microphone before we got started.
Yeah. For those of you guys who are normally with us, yes, tonight we are broadcasting on Twitch because last week, as some of you might know, Hitbox was being a dick. So we're not putting up with that this week. We've gone back to Twitch.
Yeah, I think Twitch was just having some acting out problems when they were talking about somebody else buying them out for a while.
Yeah.
And so we had to be like, well, I'm running away from home for a little bit. And then we were like, nah.
We're coming back.
Alright, we're back. So, for now we're back on Twitch until some other big horrific thing happens. For those of you on YouTube, sorry we didn't tell you any sooner. I mean, we kind of said something toward the end of the last broadcast, like, oh,
we tried to warn you.
Yeah, kind of. I don't think it was really enough time.
Yeah, we could have done better.
We could have done
probably.
better.
Told you not to shoot, but you didn't believe me. Why didn't you believe me?
What are you talking about?
I don't know, I'm just quoting stuff.
As always, thank you to our Patreon contributors who always make this show happen every week. Also want to say, yes, we are still moving forwards with plans to release Farewell Famicom Rider on the net, and hopefully here on Twitch for an initial showing first on April 15th.
Yes.
And then bringing it live on YouTube after that.
So a little less than a month from now.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are excited about it as well. What else is going on?
What else is going on? Let's see.
I'll tell you what's happening with me. I got Final Fantasy Type 0 HD.
Yes, you did.
Which...
And I've effectively lost you for days ever since you picked this thing up.
You lost me the day I picked it up.
Well, at least that long. And then when I come home, you're just there running while a kind of sort of chocobo theme plays in the background.
Well, yeah, because I'm not riding a chocobo, but the world map music is, like, kind of a variation of the chocobo theme. It's kind of awkward. I'll say this much about Type 0 HD, like, man, it feels like a PSP game, which makes sense because that's what it was, but, like, the battle system is fine, it's just... Man, that storytelling is so clunky. You'll remember sometimes I've brought up The Last Story for the Wii U, made by Mistwalker, or for the Wii, excuse me, not the Wii U. And there's limitations to the system, so you can only do so much storytelling, and Type 0 suffers from that. So
it's that same sort of thing where...
You've got just a narrator.
The black screen, white text.
Yeah, although this one has pictures in the background rather than just a black...
pictures
in the background.
Okay. PlayStation sprung for extra, nice.
But the demo for Final Fantasy 15 came along in this, and man...
That didn't look nearly as bad as I thought it was going to.
You know what?
Function.
No, my major concern right now is simply that, there's still zilch idea of a release date on 15, which makes me wonder, okay, so did you only produce enough to release a demo to trick people into thinking you were almost done with the game?
My guess would be yes. That seems pretty obvious to me.
Which would make me really sad, because actually, as dude bro as the demo is, and I know you're getting almost no hint of story in this demo, you only kind of vaguely have an idea of what the story is really even about, but as dude bro as it is, at least these dude bros sound like real people. At least they sound like real dude bros.
Right.
Out in the real world, being real dude bros with one another. Which is 10 times better than anything Final Fantasy 13 in any of its games, including Type 0 HD, because it's part of the same interwoven something. So much better characterization in a demo alone than 13 ever gave me. And so, to not know when 15 is coming out, Square's kind of stepping all over themselves with something that they could potentially have really good in their hands. So, that's where I'm standing right now.
Well, yeah, but it's the thing. Even if Square accidentally made a good decision, they'll muck it up somehow.
I don't know. I want to give them the benefit of a doubt, but...
But you know better. You know better.
It's hard to say at this point. Well, why don't we talk about the actual news stories that we're going to be covering
Oh, you
tonight.
mean do the show?
Yeah,
We should do the show.
We should probably.
Okay, so we should warn you guys ahead of time. If you guys didn't already see on Twitter, this is a very video game centric episode for one reason or another.
Very true, although I suppose it's appropriate going back to Twitch and all.
Yes. So our first story of the evening, you guys have been seeing the news breaking. Apparently, Konami and Hideo Kojima are going to be parting ways very soon.
That's the word from an anonymous source anyway, and we'll be talking about what that means for future Kojima production-related video games.
Second story is going to be, of course, the first trailer being released for the upgraded version of this little short called Pixels, and is now a movie starring Kevin James and Adam Sandler, and we're going to be talking about it.
And whether or not it needs to exist, I
Yes.
guess.
And then the last story is going to be in something that we were kind of questioning a couple of weeks back when we were talking about it. Nintendo has finally decided to work with a company called DNA on developing mobile content.
And, I think it's something people have been clamoring for a while, but no kitty. But perhaps not in the way that they're going about it. But other interesting news was dropped in this press conference that Nintendo had, so...
Yes.
Cat, just get over here. So those are our big stories for the...
And now we're trying to work with our weekly segment, which is called Siren having to decide whether or not she wants to sit on our laps.
She just wants to be in the show.
She just wants to be in the show.
Okay, in
any case, we've got follow-ups. So, we've had some interviews with the showrunner for Daredevil, once again confirming from other news earlier that Matt Murdock will in fact wear a full, more recognizable red costume during the run of the show. Like they've said multiple times, he starts out in what they call the Black Ninja outfit, but what they want to show is an evolution of the costume, that he starts off wearing just black, but then he adds padding, he adds a little bit extra flair to it. By the time you get to the end of the series, you'll understand, oh, well, that's why he's wearing it. And I'm actually pretty happy with that. Because, so many others... shows and movies, they kind of push off to the side how much emphasis there should be on the look of the character. So here, to show that they're actually going to give it its due, I appreciate that. So come April 10th, I think I have enough time to do it from now. I might just call into work and just marathon that mess.
What?
Well, people do it for House of Cards. Why
we
not
need money, Josh!
I need Netflix.
Which we need money to pay for.
Yeah, but that comes out at the beginning of the month. It's good. We're going to be all right. It's going to be safe. In similar news, Miles Teller, who's playing the role of Reed Richards in this summer's Fantastic Four reboot, also said, on a similar note, that they will be wearing more iconic costumes later on in the movie, that they're not going to be wearing those black, I guess they're calling them containment suits. That's all... all the pictures we've been seeing up until now, and I get that, you want fans to calm down, because admittedly there's not very much good hype surrounding the Fantastic Four reboot. I'm just thinking, you waited this long to tell people? I get the feeling that they were really banking on people liking these black costumes, and now they're having to be like, no, we got it, we're covered.
Kind of backpedal.
Kind of backpedal a little bit.
Because it backfired on them kind of hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can see that being a smarter move, because, you go back to last year when they didn't release any footage at San Diego Comic-Con, and then getting that trailer, about a month ago now? It seems like it's a little late in the game to be doing that. So, thankfully we've got that to look forward to. In other movie news, we finally got a look at footage from the upcoming live-action Attack on Titan movie that's coming out in Japan.
Very brief footage. Really, the clip that was shown, as usual, Japan loves to release clips of things during variety shows where they just pick random celebrities who may or may not be doing things at that given moment in time. Like, they're not busy that day, so they just show up. And then they have their face down in the corner of the screen, and they're like, I'm watching this thing. You get reaction shots, like we actually care what their reaction shots are.
Because most of the time when they play these things, the celebrities that they've got in this little box in the corner have no idea what the thing is. They only have the faintest idea, like, oh yeah, that's a thing, that looks cool, oh, sugoi. That's about all you get. But to talk about this footage, it's really only about maybe 20-25 seconds worth of stuff.
Yeah, all
altogether.
The rest of it... did we go offline? That's weird. At least we're offline for me. I don't know, check yourself. I seem to still be streaming, but... Yeah,
it says
I look
offline.
like offline. Alright. let me get it back.
At least I know where to jump back in.
Okay. Almost ready. Almost ready. Okay. Okay, are we back? Are we
I'm
back?
still here.
Well, it says that I'm back. It says streaming again.
March Madness. Madness in terms of streaming problems.
Streaming problems. Well, you're at least seeing your advertisements.
Yeah, I'm at least seeing the advertisement. No, it still says offline.
That's weird. That's super weird.
Yeah, because we shouldn't have had any jitter here.
No, there was no jitter. Try another server, I guess. Now it kind of says I'm live. Kinda.
Okay, I'm reloading.
Yeah, clearly, that was not part of the plan.
Okay, you guys can hear us.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see us again. We're back.
I don't even know. Like, we were going just fine. In fact, I was really proud of this. Because, like, usually we have Herking picture, and I was looking at the stream, and it was like, man, the picture looks so good tonight. Like, I know it's just a webcam, but it looks, like, really smooth, and there's no problems, and then just... Oh.
And then there it went.
Okay, sure.
Great.
Thanks. So, I guess we may as well just pick back up where we were.
Yeah, pick back up, because, you know, talking about the Attack on Titan live-action footage. So you look at this footage, and you get a picture of, the villagey kind of setting that they're going with, because they haven't quite fully adapted it. They've modified it a little bit, and that's fine. We've got to look at the costumes, the people there, and of course the Titans themselves. As a regular-sized Titan, which should be about 15 meters, and then the Colossal Titan, which they say they've made twice as tall as it is in the anime and manga. Mm-hmm. And really, if you've seen those, what is it, Suzuki or Subaru commercials?
It's Subaru, I'm pretty sure.
If you've seen the Subaru commercials that they did involving Attack on Titan, it's the exact same look and feel. So, yeah, they look very stringy, organic, muscle and sinew, reaching down over the wall, like, I'm gonna crush you all. And it's like, okay, that's all well and good, but you're not showing me anything more than I saw in a friggin' car commercial. You wanna take me to the next level, you do the same thing you did for the anime, and you show me the 3D maneuver gear in action. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and I guess we haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of that.
No, because the closest we've gotten is the cast in costume, with their 3D maneuver gear attached. So that's only part of it. Stills aren't going to replace live action. I want the action to be live.
Right.
If I can ask for that and get that would be great.
All right. What else?
There's news coming out of the CW. Apparently, there is talk that next season on The Flash, that they're making plans to potentially involve a second speedster, not counting, of course, Barry now and the Reverse Flash. And I'm only going to say Reverse Flash because I don't know how many people watched this week's episode, so I'm not going to quite spoiler. If you guys want to talk about that, we'll talk about that in the post-show. But, that leaves the door open for either Wally West, the Flash after Barry Allen, or even Bart Allen, Impulse, Kid Flash. And I think that's a little, not trying to make a pun, a little fast. I would have liked Barry to have been on his own for another season, like get 2 seasons in, and then you can bring in one of the other members of the Flash family.
Maybe they have bigger plans than you realize,
well,
Josh.
I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt on that, especially after this week's episode. They fully seem to be aware of what they're doing, where they're going with it. And of course fans are like, oh yes, please give us Wally, please give us Bart, we'll totally take them. So
yeah, so I don't think there's a problem.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to other news, we've got Star Wars Celebration coming up next month.
So sad that I'm not going to get the chance to be there.
Well, you'll
for
be
good
busy.
reason. Yeah, I'll be busy.
For good reason. But apparently they're going to reveal more about the game Star Wars Battlefront there, and that's kind of like a no-duh sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because Celebration is going to have so much going on that weekend, so many different reveals, not just for this game, but of course for The Force
other
Awakens.
spin-off movies and also for Rebels. I know they were going to be teasing the next season of Rebels.
Yes, so definitely have that to look forward to there. We've gotten some spy pictures from the set of Kamen Rider Drive revealing what people are believing to be Kamen Rider Chase, who, let's face it, is probably Machine Chaser's rider form that we'll get to see within the next month or so.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little interesting to look at the design here, and I'll go ahead and link you guys to the story. He's silver with purple accents, and he still seems to have his handheld weapon there. I guess it'll look better in full quality photo, but I'm just a little iffy right now on the design.
It looks clunky, but he looks clunky like most other writers have looked clunky for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. So at least, we see they're getting to work on that. They're still moving very much forward with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got a lot of Square Enix news that's a little weird. The first piece of news being they said they're going to announce a surprise JRPG this year.
That's the news story.
That was the news.
That is the news story.
Like,
and as this is coming from Trendy Nikkei, it's a business website. It's the Square Enix Holding CEO Yosuke Matsuda who made this announcement, and he's just like, watch out, we've got a JRPG. And
it's like,
in the back of my head, I'm kind of just going, hey, how about the other titles you've promised us for years? I almost don't care about whatever this new title is going to be. Like, maybe I'll care once I see it. Maybe I just need to shut up and wait. That's entirely possible, but
by this point, you're so fed up with it.
Yeah, they keep promising us crap, and I'm just like, I don't even care anymore. Just give us what you already said you were going to do.
Right.
Worry about that first, then worry about something else. And I admit, part of me was like, maybe Square should just plain drop all these other franchises that clearly they can't get a grasp on and give us something brand new. So maybe this
said that before.
This will satisfy one of those two things. There was other Square Enix news though, too.
Right, the other piece of news was regarding Final Fantasy XI, that they are making one last update for
one more expansion.
Expansion, I should say, yes. And they're going to end their service for both the Xbox 360 and the PS2. Meaning,
what was once they were once really proud of being one of the first MMOs to do cross-platform, everybody's playing on the same server all the time. There is now no longer going to be multi-platform come 2016, 1 year from this month.
Yeah.
And that's really, really sad, because I first started playing Final Fantasy XI, like, the day it launched on PS2 here in North America, and I spent so much time with it. And then to think, like, this is an MMO that has decided we're giving it the final, ultimate scenario. This means this is, like, the end game of the end game. They are done making story, unless they decide to, add on. Sometimes they've done add-on scenarios, but add-ons are not the same things as expansions. They're just other little side
Yeah, but this
stories.
sounds pretty definite.
It does
here.
sound pretty final. Funny enough, Final Fantasy. Really, that has nothing to do with it. Very, very sad, because, 11's numbers are definitely dwindling. And 11 has just been a really good game. Really kind of near and dear to me personally, and to think, it's kind of on its last legs, it just kind of hurts. And if it goes away, MMOs are sort of that fickle-natured beast that just kind of up and disappears when there is no longer the official support for it. I'm sure somebody will make an unofficial server one day. Of course, there's no sign that they're going to stop running the PC version, the PC support for it, but I'm just kind of getting nervous about it.
No, that's completely understandable. And that'll do it for tonight's follow-ups.
Alright, I guess that's that then. So, let's get to our first topic. Which one were we picking first?
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear, alright. It's Hideo Kojima. Yay. So, there's some problems going on at Konami.
I think that's an understatement at this point because it's not looking very nice.
No, and it's kind of hard to say where any of this has exactly come from. There's been some sort of falling out between Kojima Productions and Konami, and they've had some rearrangement in staff over at Konami, and I guess dudes over at Kojima Productions and maybe even some heads of Konami are kind of upset about these business decisions. There have been restricted access to corporate internet and emails and phone. And this was all told to GameSpot by someone anonymous who we have to assume is within Konami.
Somebody on the inside.
So basically, Kojima no longer is officially Konami staff. Like, already, this has already happened. And instead, he and, I assume, the majority of Kojima Productions are more like contractors. Rather than actually being staff.
So basically the way it ends up working out is that once they're done working on the Phantom Pain, this next upcoming Metal Gear game, they're out. They're gone. Like, their bags are packed in by the door.
Are we still streaming? Because I'm looking offline. We're offline.
Offline.
Dang. Alright, let's see if I can fix it.
2 seconds.
I have no idea when it stopped either.
Yeah.
So.
Nash is like, uh-oh, Konami attacks.
Let's try now. Because it still kind of doesn't look like it. Can't tell. Nope, it still looks offline.
This is so weird.
This is really frustrating. Wait, we were live, and then I think I might have turned us off.
It's loading.
No, I'm pretty sure I turned this off, but now I'm not so sure.
It says live.
Does it? Cause my Xtreme broadcaster does not say that I'm live.
Okay, I'll reload.
My Xtreme broadcaster says that I'm not live there.
Now it's saying offline. Wait, I think we're back. Okay, Siren. Fix it. Fix the connection, Siren.
Yeah, we're fine.
Fix it? You got it?
She fixed it.
She fixed it?
She fixed it.
Good job.
Yeah, good job.
Good job.
Good. Yeah. I have no idea what's causing it at this point. Perhaps we really do need to switch away from Time Warner Cable.
Probably, but that's a whole nother conversation about internet providers. Yeah, we should upgrade, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. That might be the problem. I really have no idea. So I have no idea at what point we left off at talking about Kojima.
Well, let's back up a second. So, long story short, the way it works out with all of these decisions that are going on at Konami, once they are done working on this current title, Metal Gear Solid, The Phantom Pain, Kojima and his crew are out. You know, they've got their bags packed, they're waiting by the door, they are done with Konami at this point.
That's what the sources say anyway, but this leaves you to wonder then, so what's happening with that game everybody was getting all excited about?
For Silent Hills.
Silent Hills. everyone was so, like, we were just talking to a friend the other day over a meal about, like, oh man, can't wait for this game to come out. If PT is any indication, this is gonna be freaking amazing, blah, blah, blah. So does this mean,
Wait, that was just last night, wasn't it?
Last night or the night before, one of the two. So, like, what does this mean? Does this mean that either, it changes hands and therefore it changes direction, and that's never a good thing for anybody in entertainment, whether that's video games or movies or whatever, because you can see kind of the cluster that goes on.
Yeah.
You can see that in its development in the finished product. Or do they just straight up be like, nah, we're done.
And then they just don't work on it anymore.
Yeah, which would be terribly heartbreaking.
No, I don't think they would do anything like that, especially with, another title that's cemented, like, no, people are already waiting to pre-order this thing as soon as you give us the opportunity. I would think the best scenario, and probably the most likely scenario, is just like they're saying, okay, well, we're contractors with Konami right now. They'll just be contracted to work on Silent Hill.
Well, similarly, after Hironobu Sakaguchi left Squaresoft, and then it became Square Enix, for the longest time, Nobuo Uematsu was an employed staff member of Squaresoft or Square Enix, but he's not anymore, and he's just being contracted from time to time to compose music. So, realize he goes from company to company to produce different things.
Right.
It's entirely possible that Kojima would start his own studio, which, man, wouldn't that be kind of hard? You get kicked out of Kojima Productions, and what are you going to do? You're not going to use the name Kojima Productions anymore.
Well, see,
he can't use it anymore because that falls under Konami's licensing, and Konami's not going to use it anymore because Kojima's not working for them anymore.
Well, see, because that's the thing. You notice the way they've been treating it is the fact that they're taking his name off everything immediately.
Yeah, they dropped the name Kojima Productions and all of its logos and everything, just, it all fell through.
Like, even with Phantom Pain, it's not going to have his name on it. And I was reading some other comments today of people saying, I don't think it's going to be a Metal Gear game without his name on it.
Right, exactly.
Because, I mean, let's call it what it is. This guy made Metal Gear what it is today.
It's kind of facing, again, since I know the history of Final Fantasy as well as I do, I can't help but see similarities between the two. When Sakaguchi's no longer working for Final Fantasy anymore, it makes it very, very difficult for me to see Final Fantasy as being Final Fantasy anymore. It doesn't look like it doesn't feel like it, it's not the same developer and producer, the same mastermind, the same creator. It's not the same, I don't know, God anymore.
That's
if I may use
same
that
architect. I think is a better way of looking at it.
That might be a better way of looking at it.
Because he puts his touch on this stuff, and you see it there, and that's what lends itself to quality games. In a lot of cases, when you see somebody's name attached to a certain IP, you instantly think, oh, then that means something. It's worth its weight there. But apparently now Konami doesn't see any weight in him anymore, which makes me wonder what the hell happened.
Exactly. We can only speculate, and there's so little being told, we can't speculate very far. So, like, something pretty major had to happen. Probably something pretty emotional from somebody at this point.
Well, because they're saying, Konami themselves is saying, please look forward to future announcements. They're going to have to clear this up. There's no way they're
acting as a business. They're protecting their own asses right now.
Yeah, but by that same token, in keeping with protecting your own assets, you can't just let people run amok with ideas of what happened, because you do that, and then people can, start a rumor, and the rumor in and of itself can ruin you more than the truth can in some cases.
That's true.
So, yeah, they're not going to be stupid about this. I imagine we'll get a full release of information within the next week or two max. Because if they don't, that's just shooting themselves in the foot, I would think.
I guess some other people are saying that we dropped offline for a second. I never saw it, but it looks like we're alive again. I don't know. That's weird. We seem to be okay. I don't even know anymore. We've just gotta keep going, I guess.
Yeah. But yes, we'll keep an eye on definitely the updates with specifically with Silent Hills, because I'm a little more a fan of that department than I am Metal Gear. Not that I don't like Metal Gear, I played I guess my favorite one's Snake Eater out of all of them, and Sons of Liberty. But I just would terribly hate to see Silent Hills go under just because of some argument they had that went too far.
Yeah, that would be pretty sad.
Yes.
Alright,
so moving on to number 2. And that's the Pixels.
For some reason, that's the Pixels.
Okay, so earlier this week we got a first look at Pixels, which is being directed by Christopher Columbus, who people know directed Home Alone, Harry Potter, things of that nature. It is an expanded idea from this little 3-minute trailer, or not really trailer, more like proof of concept sort of video of, video games being larger than life and the little sprites inside attacking
and kind of interacting with real world things and scenarios and stuff.
Well, apparently it was good enough for it to get a full-on Hollywood treatment, and that's what we're treated to here by Sony.
I don't know. I just feel like that animated short was enough. Like, that told exactly the full story of what could have possibly been told in that scenario. We dropped again. Are you kidding me?
There's gotta be some reason for this.
You know what? I'm gonna check my PC. Make sure it's not doing anything stupid.
Actually, yeah, that might have something to do with it. Well, the jitter's gone way up, though.
Well, I've been connecting to... let's do New York, maybe.
Yeah, go check real quick.
Bigger delay, but let's see. I can't imagine my PC's doing anything. It's really not. Yeah, the PC's really not doing anything. I imagine we should be live again right now, though.
Let me... Waiting for the ad to finish loading. Okay, they see us again.
Yeah, okay. Which is funny because I don't see us, but I have to trust you guys. It just keeps loading video on my end. Though it says it's live, so... I am very frustrated. I'm not gonna lie to you guys and say that I'm not. I'm very frustrated.
So... we go ahead and keep talking, or...
I guess you may as well. We're probably gonna have to turn this into an audio-only release for YouTube yet again. That's just the way it's gonna have to be. Okay,
well, continuing on. So yes, we've got this full-size movie from Sony, having expanded this idea out into a full-length picture starring Adam Sandler, Kevin James, Peter Dinklage, Michelle Monaghan, and yeah. So here's the thing I was bringing up, and I'll say this again here on air. I look at this thing, and immediately, I saw the short too, but even then I'm thinking to myself, does anybody remember that one episode of Futurama? It was one of the... I think it was the second Tales of Interest, where Fry asks the professor, hey, can you show me a world where it matters that I'm good at video games? And then for the next 5 minutes it has, was it lore coming from the planet Nintendo 64 coming down and basically doing the exact same thing. Aliens from another planet using video games to attack Earth. Mm-hmm. And the person who knows video games, Fry, is the one person who's uber qualified to fight back because he knows how to do it. And I look at that and it's like, okay, well that story, the Pixels short only takes about 3 minutes. This took about 5, maybe 6 minutes, and that's about as much story as you've got there. And now we've got this movie, which at the least is probably going to be about 90 minutes, and it's like, how much story can you really tell? How many jokes can you tell in that 90-minute movie without making it feel laborious or stretched out?
And I'm just kind of sitting here thinking, so these aliens only picked video games from the early 80s.
Well, at the beginning of the trailer here, which is what we're going off, they say in 1982 NASA sent out a time capsule into space trying to show people other life forms what we were like.
I imagine that half of the movie has to be more like the preparation for any of this to happen, because otherwise that's too much time spent on the video game alien stuff happening, and I just don't see that going over very well. I don't know, like, I can't see a whole movie made out of it. That's kind of my problem. I guess the only thing that was interesting in it was the idea of bringing in a guy portraying Toru Iwatani, who is the creator of Pac-Man, and the guy looks almost exactly like him. His name is Dennis Akiyama, who's Japanese-Canadian.
Yeah.
And actually, looking at his history, he's quite the voice actor.
Yes.
He's done quite a lot of stuff that lots of people would know. He was Iceman, or...
in the X-Men 90s cartoon. He was Malachite in the dub of... the first dub of Sailor Moon.
He's been in Resident Evil Afterlife. What were some other things I was listing off earlier?
Wildcats. Power Stone,
Beyblade, Metabots.
No, look who he was in...
Musha.
No, look who he was in Metabots.
He was Mr. Referee. He's my favorite character. That dude's friggin' Mr. Referee. That's awesome.
Yes, but that's awesome. The whole thing about the movie, though, it's like... I actually kind of have to agree with that. It's an Atari-sponsored Independence Day is what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I
because
would agree
it's
with
like...
that.
You can only milk that so hard because, again, it's this reliance on nostalgia to sell movie tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing when we're having to do all these remake movies, like, oh, we gotta see RoboCop again. We let Stallone make another Rambo. All this stuff from the 80s coming back. Gem. that movie coming out later.
Oh,
and then
it's gonna break my heart.
And then here we've got, here's all the classic coin-eating games, Centipede and Space Invaders and Donkey Kong coming right at you in
glorious
IMAX
3D pixels.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about it here, like, I look at it this way. The way it worked on Futurama was because it was a cartoon, I didn't think about, I'm not trying to think very hard about why Fry is in a tank that works and looks exactly like it does in Space Invaders. Like, I don't really think about that. But here, where it's video game, giant sprites interacting with a 4D human world, like, they're saying stuff that makes sense in theory, like, the only way you can take down Pac-Man is with ghosts. Okay, here's your ghosts. Mini Coopers.
Wait, what about the world is 4D?
Well, I'm just saying our world.
Okay, well, our world is like the real world where we see in 3D. The fourth dimension can be argued, but we can't, like, see it.
Point being, it's like, when they say, we have to take Pac-Man down with ghosts, and it's like, okay, well, we gave you Mini Coopers painted like the ghosts in Pac-Man. It's like, okay, that's great. How's that actually going to work? Like, in that sense where you say it's Atari-sponsored Atari-sponsored Independence Day, you're going to come up with some BS excuse why Mini Coopers painted like the ghost from Pac-Man can take down this actual Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Like, how does that even work?
They're going to explain it. You're going to have to just be like, okay, and then you're just going to have to let it go. And
it's going to be on cruise control, basically.
Yeah.
Now, see, the thing about this is, as bad as I think it's going to be, and I can see some people sharing our sentiment here, it's going to bank. For two reasons. One, because nostalgia. Mm-hmm. First and foremost. That's what they're banking on. People who are like, yeah, I played that at Pizza Hut back when I was like 10. Oh, go see this movie. And you've got them. And then the second one is, for some reason, people still watch Adam Sandler and Kevin James movies. Like, I'm not gonna
They still make money for some reason.
Because let's not make people forget here. They're the reason we were worried about Pacific Rim taking off. If it wasn't for friggin' Grown Ups 2 releasing the same dang weekend, Pacific Rim would have had even more of an assurance of a sequel even sooner. But people had to go see Grown Ups 2 that weekend.
Oops.
Yeah, and it's like, I can't, like, in that sense, I'm not willing to forgive them for that. Like, you slighted a much better movie that meant more to the nerd culture. And here it's like you
can't argue that.
Well, in a sense, in what it's pushing forward, here it's more like siphoning off classic nerd culture, the heyday of video game arcade games being there in the 80s.
At the same time, because it was such a new kind of idea, it wasn't so nerdy at the time. It was just kind of a novelty, and everybody knew what it was. Everybody knew.
Yeah, but even then, I just don't like. I see myself probably going to see it to see, okay, what did you guys do? Because, we have that thing, we like to know what we're complaining about most of the time.
Yeah.
And here it's like, okay, what's this movie going to be? 90 minutes, you cut it up into about 30-second spots. Okay, so the first 30 minutes is setting up the problem. Okay, we sent out the probe, and now they're coming to us, and then they're destroying us. And then the middle 30 minutes, that's the prep. Right? Them getting ready to take it on, and then beginning to go after them. And then the last 30 minutes is probably going to be all the fandom shout-outs and Easter eggs, and then...
And then the denouement, and then the...
Yeah, and a lot of flat Adam Sandler jokes, and Kevin James probably ripping his pants or farting. That's probably what's going to happen. Because you know what? I paid money to go see Paul Blart. It was the dollar movies, and I was very bored, but I paid money to see that. There's not too much to expect.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't go with you. Wow.
Yeah, I know. I was real bored that weekend. But, yeah, I don't see this being anywhere near, like... Well, yeah, Scott Pilgrim's the other example. Integrating video games into live action. That concept worked better, and that, of course... was just better written. Here I don't see any evidence of writing.
Yeah, I hear you.
It just seems like a really simple cash grab. And I
and
wish
you
it
just
didn't
don't like it based on that concept.
At the least. Although I don't think we'll... And of course Wreck-It Ralph's another example of it, the idea being done better implementation of video game
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that.
Into a movie. And I'd much sooner accept Wreck-It Ralph 2 instead of this piece, the steaming pile. And that's about it on that, because I know we need a lot of time to talk about the next one.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and give a little more time to Nintendo, who apparently, at this point in the game, after for such a long time saying, we are never going to produce mobile games...
Yeah, they were holding on to that.
They're going to produce mobile games.
You said what now?
They're going to produce.
Well, what's that, Nintendo? You're going to do it now?
They're going to produce mobile games. I'm
Good.
sorry.
Good. About time you learned. So yes, they announced just 2 days ago that Nintendo's partnering with a company called DNA to produce...
Do we know what else DNA has done? And by the way, that's spelled capital D, lowercase e, uppercase N, uppercase A.
Yes.
DNA.
They provide cell phone gaming in Japan.
Okay, so yeah, they're another mobile platform. All right.
Yes. Really more specific to Japan. I mean, they've done some other stuff, not anything I recognize. I mean, Marvel War of Heroes.
I know Mobage. It's just their platform. Blood Brothers. A
couple of Transformers titles.
G.I. Joe Battleground.
Star Wars Galactic Defense.
Yeah, so a lot of these are things that I typically would not play. But if it's Nintendo, then perhaps I would at least try. The thing about it is that that might lead you to believe that, they're going to release old Nintendo games on a mobile platform because people asked for it. They're like, well, we emulate your games on our cell phones because we wish you would actually officially release them so we can buy them. Well, that's not what Nintendo intends to do.
Their plan right now is to release brand new games featuring their same intellectual properties designed specifically to work well with mobile devices. And yeah, I mean, I get that. You want to keep putting out new content, and that's all well and good, but just a little bit of a nod to people who just want to play like friggin' original Castlevania as an example on their phone legally from Nintendo.
I wonder, because that's a Konami title. I wonder if they just mean Nintendo's specific franchise.
Well, what, like, just Super Mario?
Don't say just Super Mario.
Well, not just...
Star Fox.
Okay, Star Fox.
Metroid. Like, you could list off any number of other titles that they don't have to be just Mario. Although I'm sure they will primarily focus on Mario.
Yeah, I mean, then why... Oh, well, not only Mario, they'll focus on Green Mario, too. Yoshi.
Yeah, sure.
Green Mario. And, we were... what was it, like 2-3 weeks back, I was arguing this, like, they need to get with the times. They need to go ahead and admit, yes, mobile is infringing on our bottom line.
Well, they even specifically said years ago that they felt their only competition in the video game development world was mobile gaming. So for them to join mobile gaming is them embracing the fact that, oh crap, they're creeping up on us and we better take advantage of it now.
It's like you always say, the first step to getting better is admitting you have a problem.
Yes.
And the problem that they have admitted is that, yeah, we need to do something about mobile gaming because yes.
Yes.
So, they're going to be working on this with all their new IPs. And, of course, they were addressing, well, people are going to be wondering, well, does this mean you're going to not work on consoles anymore? You're not going to be developing anything new? And they said, no, that's not the case. They're working on a new piece of hardware that's going under the code name NX.
Oh boy, we're already talking about next gen again. So, start your speculations!
It's like, wow, like... Wii U, you're still in the Wii U. You're neck deep in the Wii U right now, and we're already thinking of the next thing?
Because it feels like, to me, perhaps they're thinking of next-gen consoles because they're like, man, Wii U just didn't pick up fast enough. It didn't hit the ground running quite as well as, I guess, PS4 and Xbox One have. But at the same time, well, maybe if you developed better games, or you made it easier for other companies to develop games on your console. I don't know. I feel like there needs to be some other approach. Like, the Wii U is a totally capable and competent system, but nobody's going towards it, you know?
Right. And that doesn't speak so much about your hardware. Your hardware is fine. You need to do more about your software. That's where you're losing it. Because basically... when you look at the mobile front, that's basically what it is. You're downloading the software to play on the phone. Mm-hmm. And if you're developing more for the phone, then, you're good. You're going to keep constantly bringing people in, like, oh, it's a new title. Let me get that. And, the price will be, what's a mobile game go for now? Anywhere between, $2 to, at max, like $7-8 for a really big one.
JRPGs have been known to cost $15.
Or, okay, in between there. That price range for most people is affordable. And the thing is, Nintendo wants their giraffe money secure. Mm-hmm. Because no matter what, even if you got giraffe money, you want to keep your giraffe money.
Oh, yeah. If you have a lot of money, what you want to do is make even more money, because that's just how companies work.
Right. So, mobile gaming makes sense. You're developing the stuff for it. You don't have to necessarily develop the system for it, because somebody else has already made the phone. Kind of like what we were talking about the other night, Nintendo's not going to make a phone. Samsung, LG, they already make phones. You're developing the software for the phone. Mm-hmm. So that's cutting out a lot of back-end money you'd have to waste on producing, like, a hard disk or something like that.
It sounds like Nintendo is also talking about not only making this available for mobile devices, but also tablets and smartphones, of course, and PC as well. So it sounds like the platform from DNA can be used on many different kinds of devices, and then you could play said Nintendo product on, again, many kinds of devices. So to say that it's purely mobile, perhaps, is the wrong impression, but I think it's the one that most people will easily hear and identify with and say, right, oh, they're going mobile, which, yeah, it's true that they are, but it sounds like you'll also be able to play these games on all kinds of different locations.
And that, as well, is also admitting, okay, well, the other thing we don't do is we're not competing as well with, like, say, PC gaming. Mm-hmm. Which is, again, it's about time y'all friggin' did something about that. Because, PC gaming has been gaining on...
Oh, I wouldn't say even gaining. Like, PC gaming's always been there, and PC gamers always consider themselves, like, a different breed of gamer than console gamers.
Well, I would still put them in a different class, too. Like
To an
I
extent,
prefer
but-
I prefer console a little more, except when it comes to like you agree with me on that shooters belong on PC because you have more control there.
I feel that way. Some people may beg to differ just based on preference.
I'm saying I agree with you on that.
I also feel like it's easier to play MMOs on a PC, although I can't help but say that I loved my time playing Final Fantasy XI on PS2. But for the most part, MMOs belong on PC, in personal opinion.
Right. And they say they're also going to be working on this online membership service that's going to be replacing Club Nintendo. It's like, well, yeah, you got rid of it. You need to do something about
They're
that.
slowly phasing it out, yeah. I'm not sure. I believe you no longer can buy things off the Club Nintendo
As far as I
store.
know, no.
I believe that's already done. So, yeah, like, it's over.
Yeah, and this new membership service, which they don't seem to have a name for yet, is going to launch this fall. So we're not going to have to wait incredibly long.
Yeah, that's pretty
for it.
quick, actually. Another quarter and a half to 2 quarters.
Quarter and a half, I think.
Yeah.
More accurately. And as part of this deal, Nintendo has acquired, what does it say here? 15 million plus shares of this DNA company.
Wow.
Which comes out to approximately 22 billion, so that's what, 200 million?
Because you're talking 22 billion yen.
Right.
Take 2 zeros off the back of that.
Yeah, so that's about 200 million.
Yeah.
Plus, because, right now the dollar's stronger than the yen.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's quite a bit of change there. They've got it. So, they're putting a vested interest into this company, which averages out to about 10% of their stock. They're in there. They've got their hands in there. They've acquired this.
Well, this is kind of like how Square Enix acquired Taito as well. So, and Square Enix acquired Taito in order to have a handle on mobile gaming. So
Right.
this is not a new thing for a traditionally console-centric company to acquire a mobile platform in order to
Now, just for
take over.
comparison's sake, because you kind of know a little bit more about that than I do,
Mm-hmm.
Square Enix, as far as the mobile gaming is concerned, that's doing well, correct?
They seem to be. They won't stop pumping out Final Fantasies and Dragon Quests and whatnot and other little piddly things here and there, tower defense kind of stuff. They keep just knocking them out, and people keep buying them.
So it's
But
basically
it's brand recognition that does it, I think.
So that's basically, just guessing here, the same thing Nintendo's looking to do. Like, oh, well, they recognize the IP of Dragon Quest, they recognize the IP of Final Fantasy, and no matter what they put out, somebody's going to buy it.
Well,
so
true.
over here, they'll just put out, oh, here's another Mario, here's another Star Fox game for
True,
your
but
phone.
in the case of Square Enix, the most of what they do is make mobile versions of games that already exist. So they're just releasing the exact same game over again, and occasionally then they'll put out something like All the Bravest, where you just go, I'm playing a video game! And then people download it and do 80 bajillion microtransaction and they make buku gil. But,
Right.
in the case of Nintendo doesn't want to release old titles, they want to release new titles, and I'm wondering how well that's going to catch on, because I think people want to get old favorites first, followed by new stuff once they feel like Nintendo's actually doing this crap correctly.
See, I'm saying they're not going to release older games. They're going to put out the new ones first to put it a certain way, create a beachhead there. All right, here's our stand. We're here. We planted our flag. We're in the mobile market. Now, once we know we've got this locked down, then we can start making the easier money off of, okay, here, we'll just port something old that you've been asking for.
Right.
And they don't even have to do it all at once. They can just do one every quarter or so, or a few games every quarter, and people will buy them up. It's like, oh, finally, here, take my money. That's a built-in audience there.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the younger people, because we notice this now, whenever you go out, younger and younger kids have cell phones to play with, and most of what Nintendo puts out is very kid family friendly.
You know what I find really funny, though, is that I know a coworker who insists, oh, I'm never going to let my kid play video game consoles. But she lets her kid play with her cell phone, and her kid knows how to play video games on the cell phone. So it's like, well, once Nintendo gets in there, he's going to be playing Nintendo games just like all the rest of us have done for decades.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, may as well get into that market, because cell phones are in the hands of children now for some reason.
Children of parents who have disposable income, or not even disposable income.
No, because cell phones really aren't expensive at this point, at this juncture.
Well, at this juncture, I mean, there's still a couple of expensive ones.
It's the service plan that's going to wreck you.
Yeah.
But cell phones don't have to be expensive.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, okay, so they're developing this membership system, which I'm assuming is what you're going to use to be able to get the games to your tablet, to your cell phone, correct?
Possibly. They might tie in together Nintendo IDs.
That would be smart, wouldn't it?
That would be smart, except they still have heavily relied on friend codes, which is not so smart, so we'll see what they choose to do. I know that they choose to use friend codes to make it purposely a little more difficult so that you're not just spamming random people you don't know, and it makes it easier because you both have to connect using each other's friends' codes in order to get this. They want to entice you to play with friends that you are actually friends with.
Right.
That's the point in making it more difficult than it has to be, which is kind of stupid all the same, because if you really want to play with somebody, you're going to do it anyway. You're going to go through the hassle.
And just real quick, I want to think, okay, so this is coming fairly soon, all things considered, because it didn't take nearly as long to develop a phone game as it does an actual hard disk game. Do you see any problems coming out of that?
Problems? Well, it's harder to distribute a game that is official and mobile and possibly sold on iTunes and Android, Google Play. It's harder to pirate that kind of distribution, which is good for them, but I'm waiting for the day when somebody figures out how to do it.
Because you figure somebody's going to be able to do it fairly quickly, at least within the first year?
Usually.
I mean, basically, we break phones all the time, jailbreak them. What's to say somebody's not going to figure out how to jailbreak something that Nintendo did on your phone?
But at the same time, it's the same fear you have for any piece of media in this digital age. It wouldn't matter whether it was mobile or whether it was console. Somebody would figure out how to pirate it and distribute it for free.
And then from there, it'll be interesting to see how Nintendo decides to deal with that. Because they get into the mobile market, then they got to deal with problems that come up from mobile stuff. I think
that might be a little knee-jerk to really worry about that just yet when we don't know how this platform functions.
The other thing I'm thinking about right now is kind of going back to the kid thing. How many more kids are going to get busted, in class, because kids already get busted for texting as it is. Now they're going to get busted for playing Mario Kart on their iPhone.
All the same, I'm sure kids get busted for playing mobile games already.
I imagine that going up more.
Just because it's Nintendo. You think?
Just because it's Nintendo.
You think?
I would think so, yeah.
I don't know. I haven't lived in a world, in a high school world, in a very long time, and certainly
kids don't change that much from generation to generation.
I'm just saying I didn't live in a generation where I had to worry about all that highly about cell phones going off in class or texting under the table or anything like that, and certainly not. The worst we had to worry about was kids having their TI-83s, and they had Mario programmed onto their TI-83s. That was the worst thing we had to worry about at the time. I did it. Until the one day, like I had Fall Up, which was the same thing as Fall Down. You're just trying to make this ball not hit platforms as it's falling, or rising in this case, and I let a kid in my class borrow it so that he could play it for a second. He got pissed that he couldn't beat my score, then he slammed my TI-83 against the desk, completely wiped everything. No games were on it anymore, and I couldn't get them back because the person I got them from didn't live there anymore. So
I'm sorry.
I was pissed.
Well, imagine that.
TI-83s are expensive too, more expensive than they should be. It's ungodly unreasonable. Like Texas Instruments, what is wrong with you?
Well, imagine that happening now. It's like, hey, can I play your copy of Dr. Mario? This is stupid. Pah! Another slammed iPhone. Broken glass everywhere.
Oh yeah, that'd be a lot worse than the TI-83 incident.
Yeah, because I think iPhones are still more expensive than a TI-83.
They can be if you're not on a service plan.
Yep.
Yep.
So, more pissed kids playing Mario. That's what I see coming out of this. Alright.
I guess that's it for now then. Man, this I thought was gonna be going so well as far as the stream was concerned,
You know what?
then it turned out it had a lot of problems. So
You know, we might as well just flip a coin next week who we're gonna stream with.
no, I'm gonna stick with Twitch. And I'm seriously, now that I've completely paid off the cable bill, I am going to consider switching to Grande.
All
I'm
right.
serious, because they have the closest. They're starting to implement fiber. That Time Warner Cable has said that they're just about to implement fiber within San Antonio too, but they're too expensive. They're too expensive, and Grande's offering the same or better for less expense. And I hear good things about them, and I hear grumpy things about Time Warner Cable.
Yes.
Anyway, so very, very highly considering making the switch, maybe sometime soon.
All things considered, though, we thank you guys for sticking with us during this terrible debacle of streaming. We appreciate it very much, and
Yep.
for those of you who are with us, you can stick with us for another 30 minutes afterwards while we answer questions, shoot the breeze, maybe
But-
shoot the cat. I don't know.
No,
No, we're not
she's
gonna
been
shoot the
she's
cat,
been
she's
good
asleep.
tonight. Actually, she hasn't
Oh,
done.
she's tuckered out from fixing the connection.
Aw.
Isn't that sweet?
Yes. All right. So, again, as always, you can always follow us on Twitter during the week when we're not streaming, and
Yes, I'm at Josh Knight first.
I'm at Mars Girl.
So that having been said, that's been this episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We will see you guys next week.
Good night.
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 You guys next week.